I'd like to call the December 21st, 2023 regular meeting to order. Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes.
And Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes. If we would stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And for today's meeting, our mission statement will be read by Tristan Smith, a Trotwood-Madison Middle School student.
Yes. They'll come right up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The mission of the Trotwood-Madison City Schools is to graduate all students prepared to exceed in a global society with a commitment to lifelong learning by guaranteeing a challenging curriculum facilitated by innovative and dedicated staff, community participation, and state-of-the-art resources and stimulating atmosphere. The mission of Trotwood-Madison Middle School is to create a safe and inclusive community for stakeholders that prepare students for graduation by promoting academic success through leadership development, global awareness, social emotional development, and 21st century skills.
Thank you so much, Tristan. And tonight we got the Trotwood-Madison Middle School's mission statement that links to the districts. So thank you so much for that. And Dr. Cosby, we do have a student that really wants to read the mission statement.
Okay.
And his name is Kristen Jeter.
Okay.
And if you would, we already have one selected for our next board meeting.
And he's at the middle school.
And he's also at the middle school, so we'll get to.
Okay, we got that.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I'd like a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll move to adopt the agenda as presented.
I second.
It's been properly moved by Ms. Moore and second by Mr. Anderson. And Superintendent, I know we have some changes.
Yes. Okay, so for tonight, we do have a few changes and some good things are going on. So first, I would like to add a presentation, which would be the middle school PTO family. They're gonna do a presentation for us today. That would be number 3. Then in number 3, currently we have a board reception. We're gonna move that from number 3 to number 16. So our reception will be the last thing we do today. Then I'd like to add to 5, a B, add professional meeting payment. So it'd be 5B.
Payments. Payments.
Payments, okay, payments with an S. And then for number 13, amend the superintendent's contract. And number 14 will be to amend the treasurer's contract. And the final thing to change is we will adjourn, it will be number 15 with all the other changes.
Are there any comments?
I have a comment.
Ms. Moore?
Okay, when you said 16, I'm looking at this and I'm like, there's only 13, all right?
Right.
Madam President, if we may, because I know we
Yes.
are having the reception and we have guests in the audience, instead of making it 16, because that would be after the executive session and all of those things, and some of those consider the appointment employment, is part of the amendment to the superintendent's contract,
Right.
as well as the treasurer's contract. What I am proposing is that we, instead of making it number 16, if we could take the board reception to number, let's see, number 12 before the executive session, and then action will be taken after the executive session on item 13 and 14.
Let me just explain why we did what we did.
Okay.
We did what we did because we had anticipated, and we do have people who are here who want to celebrate. We have 2 board members who are leaving, who've been here 20 years and one 18 years, and we didn't want to confine that to like a 5-minute slot like we normally do. So that's why, and we're anticipating that our meeting's gonna roll pretty quickly, and even that executive session should be, my understanding is, extremely quick.
Yes.
Do we even need the executive session, Madam President?
Yes.
Because if it is gonna be quick and it's just those 2 items,
I'll do,
Yes.
let's keep it, Ms. Vice.
Yeah.
only because.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And it will be, I promise you, no more than 5 minutes. So, board, are we good with that?
Absolutely, Madam President.
Okay. Ms. Moore, you good with that?
I am fine.
Okay. So it's been properly moved and moved by Ms. Moore, second by Mr. Anderson, that we approve the agenda with the changes noted by Superintendent Dr. Cosby. Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Yes, Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry,
Yes.
and Mrs. Judah Freeman.
Yes, the motion passes with those changes noted. And now we will entertain community comments.
I do have one community comment, or one person that wants to speak to the board. Her name is Elizabeth Ramirez. So come on up. I will, before you start talking, just go over some of the procedures for addressing the Board of Education. I will go over some of the procedures to address the Board of Education. So obviously, you've completed your form. You need to address the board as a whole through the president and not board members individually. You have to limit your remarks to 3 minutes. No extensions will be granted. When your time is up, you are to stop speaking. It is inappropriate to address any matter involving pending disputes, grievances under a labor agreement, disciplinary action involving an employee or a student, and ongoing labor negotiations. The purpose of the community comments portion of the meeting is for members of the public to express viewpoints and public concerns.
Okay, so does that limit me exactly what I'm able to speak on then, in regards to this issue? Okay, well,
Now, when
let me
you start
just
speaking, then I guess we're gonna
okay.
stop you then.
Okay. Well, everyone, my name is Elizabeth Ramirez, and I have children that attend here. I currently, had some issues. I know she said some things can't be addressed, so I'm going to keep it short and simple. She said I have 3 minutes. My daughter, my daughter got hurt at school, okay? And I tried to speak to the principal. Things didn't get accomplished, didn't get addressed. I came and spoke to Dr. Cosby. We did speak for one meeting, and we spoke on the phone once. I still wanted to speak to basically address the situation in regards to my daughter getting hurt at school. She never got attention at school in regards to when she got hurt. She was asked to speak to a nurse. She got hurt in gym. She asked to speak to a nurse, and she asked her gym teacher, he told her that, well, they were going to be moving, transferring classes. So he told her to tell her teacher. She told her teacher told her no, because another young lady asked to speak to the nurse as well. She was having cramping problems, womanly problems. And the teacher told her no because she thought they would be goofing off playing. So she denied her medical attention. She also asked to, her teacher went and told another teacher that they weren't able to go see the nurse and to not let her see it. My daughter never got physically assessed. My daughter walked home from school on another child's back that attends Trotwood. Okay, so I never got a phone call from the school. Nobody had called me that day. I just know my daughter came in crying. So that's when I went and spoke to the principal. It didn't get fully completed. Like I said, I asked to speak to Dr. Cosby. I asked to have a meeting with all the teachers to address and wonder why my daughter never got medical attention at the school, and even having to walk a couple blocks on another child's back home. That was completely unacceptable. I tried to speak to Dr. Cosby because I wanted to have a meeting with everybody. I've been up here time after time after time, about 3 or 4 times to be exact, even made phone calls to speak with her again. I know she said in regards to I can't speak on certain things, but the issues were never finished, she never spoke back with me. I'm trying to figure out where how the school handles this, because I feel like when I'm here, my child should be safe under the school, under everybody. And for the school to neglect my daughter, medical attention is completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. I have a hospital bill because I had to take my daughter to the hospital. If my daughter would have been able to seek medical attention here at the school and the nurse would have told me that it was okay, I wouldn't have sent her to the hospital. Now I have a hospital bill. Dr. Cosby never got back with me. Like I said, when I spoke to the principal, she was a little nasty. And I'm just trying to see how do things get handled. I feel like the board is, okay. So now how do we handle this, ma'am? I don't know what we do. Are you just limiting my time, but?
We will make sure that you have the meeting that you requested, and that will happen sooner than later, Dr. Cosby.
But it's not just about the meeting, ma'am. Everything can't just be brushed under the rug. I mean, you can't just say now because I request a meeting, you're just going to give me a meeting and think it's okay.
It won't be just the meeting. We will speak to Dr. Cosby, and Dr. Cosby, as the protocol of the board, when a community person addresses the board is not going to address that issue on the platform, but Dr. Cosby will address the issue and get back with you.
But I wasn't satisfied with Dr. Cosby's answer, so how do I now go back to the person that I wasn't happy with, ma'am? I mean, I'm not, ma'am.
Dr. Cosby will
There's always
address the
someone above
board.
Dr. Cosby, which is you guys, okay?
Right.
I'm done dealing with Dr. Cosby, and I'm done dealing with the principal.
At this
It's
point,
your guys' job to help me to see
And
where
we
we're gonna
will.
handle this,
We
okay?
will.
I hope so, because
Yes.
I don't
We
wanna
have
have to
your
pull my daughters out of
information.
here, because my daughters and my kids are not safe. No one should have kids here feel like they're not safe because no one is taking care of them. I know I can understand you trying to limit everything, but at the same time, my daughter was hurt. If it was your child, you would be upset too, that everybody neglected my child.
And I will have your number and give you a call.
Well, you told me you were gonna call me last time when we left here, and you never called me either. So how do
We
we handle a
won't address
situation when I'm
that
trying to
here.
deal with her? I can't deal with her, now I'm dealing with you, and you're the president, ma'am. You told me you were gonna call me, you never did.
I
So
didn't
now I'm
have
here at
your
this meeting.
information.
Ma'am, you could have gotten your information. You could have gotten my information because
Okay.
you know.
The time is up.
I
and we
understand. Now
will
you're trying to
address
brush
that.
me off. That's not right. It's not right, and I hope this really gets handled. I don't even trust you to even handle the situation. So where do I go from here over? Is there anybody above you guys? Who's above you guys? There's always somebody above somebody. Who's above you guys? Please, can you tell me who's above you guys so I can handle it?
I will call you after
Okay,
this
that's
meeting.
fine. I just need to know who's above the Board of Education now at this point. Thank you.
You're welcome. And now we will move to the presentation.
Yes.
Do we have our PTO family here?
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
My name is Tanika Smith. I'm the president of our parent-teacher organization for Trotwood Middle School. We're very honored that you guys asked us to join you tonight. I'll make sure that I'm limited. I'm trying to look at my phone and make sure I don't take up much of your time, but I would like one of our other students to read. We read the mission statement for our Trotwood district, but we have a mission statement for our PTO that we're going to allow our student to read, if that's okay.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, good evening. My bad. My bad.
Been a
My bad.
long day.
Been a long day at school.
My name is Cameron Hughley. All right, so I'll start reading now. All right. Our mission as a parent-teacher organization at Trotwood Middle is to promote and encourage communicate between parents, teachers, and students, administration, and community. We seek to complement the current curriculum, teachers and administration, and all other schools, organizations, and programs by providing open line of communication and transparent support.
We're trying to get our boys to be more outgoing. He's 7th grade. Yes. So just briefly to give you a description of the purpose of our PTO, my apologies. To introduce, Maddie Hughley is our secretary for our PTO, and we also have Danielle Patterson, who is my other PTO parent. We are missing 2. They couldn't be here this evening, but just briefly, our PTO basically comes as forefront. We're parents. Our children have been in Trotwood Middle School since the beginning, since they were small, but it really started to register on our hearts as parents that we were missing our parents from the school, from being engaged, from being involved. Coming up as a student myself in school, my parents were always present. And sometimes that was good and sometimes not so much. But we are really seeing, coming out of the pandemic, coming back into the schools and things that our children are dealing with at this point. They are dealing with some heavy issues. They're dealing with some heavy issues amongst each other, with teachers, within their school experience. And honestly, at this point, we have just reached a point to where we don't want to stand back anymore and watch. So our goal is really just to get back an involvement with the schools, with the board, with the community, and start hugging and loving on our kids again and making their experience positive, because they're missing that. A lot of them don't like to go to school because the environment is not positive. They are missing the love of being in their education environment. And for us, growing up, for me, at least I can speak for myself, is that I had fun going to school. I had a time going to school and having those teachers that impacted me and left a footprint on my heart. So I want my son and our kids to be able to say they had that same experience out of our district, and they still have another 4 to 5 years. Woo, we counting down. But we want those to truly be impacted and the students to come. So this is not just a brief time with PTO. We hope for this to grow. We want to connect with ELC. We want to connect with Westbrook. We want to connect with Madison Park. We want to connect with high school, because again, all of our students need us, and they're calling for us. They just don't know how a lot of times, but they're ready for us to step in and get back involved. So that's our purpose. We hope to be in communication with you guys. We're thankful to Mr. Gibson for allowing us to come out tonight and for you guys allowing us to be present this evening. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We,
President Jeter Freeman,
yes,
may I call a recess? Any board member can call a recess.
yes.
Thank you.
We will, the board will take a 5-minute recess. 5 minutes. The board will resume its meeting after a short recess, and I believe we're on the consent agenda.
Yes.
So the first item, to approve the minutes of November 2nd work session, November 6th special meeting, November 16th special meeting, and November 16th regular meeting. Also to approve an overnight field trip to Camp Kern for Westbrook Village fifth grade students, overnight out-of-state trip to Chicago for the senior class of 2024, and our robotics club overnight out-of-state trip to Greenville, South Carolina. We also have approval, item C, to participate in the Southwestern Ohio Educational Purchasing Council solicitation for bus bids for the 24-25 school year, and approval to participate in the Southwestern Education Purchasing Council request for proposal for natural gas. So the latter two, a lot of schools participate in those because we gain greater leverage in savings by doing so. And those are for action. I'll take a motion.
I'll move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I second.
Been properly moved by Ms. Moore and second by Ms. Cherry. Are there any discussions? Hearing none, Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Yes,
on the
Ms.
consent
Moore?
agenda?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes, the motion for the consent agenda is approved, and those were discussed at the work session at the last meeting. Now we'll move to the board report. And the first one is approval of board training compensation. And the first one is for letters training for Ms. Moore. Item B is for professional development. I'll take a motion.
I'll move to accept board report item A and B as presented.
I second.
Excuse me, can you take those separately because they're
There's two
They're
separate
two
items.
separate
Okay.
items.
Board report item A as presented.
I second.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion?
I just wanted to say that on the memo, it clearly states the board policy, that this applies to training, policy 0147. I think there has been questions about it. So if you read our board policy 0147 compensation, it clearly states that, that a board member can be compensated for training. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. If you would, call the roll.
Yes. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
No.
And Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes, the motion is approved for the letters training. And item B, professional meetings.
And those are in front of you. They're two different pages. One is for, both of those are for Denise Moore. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to wait. No, was there a motion?
No, first we have to have a motion, and then we'll have discussion, okay? So, I make a motion for board item B as presented.
I second. I'm sorry.
Been properly moved by Ms. Moore and second by Mr. Anderson. Are there any questions?
I just wanted to clarify what's in front of you. There are two pages, two pieces of paper in front of you. Both of those are requests from Ms. Moore. One is a request for NAFC, and that was in New Orleans. That was from November 30th to December 3rd. She's asking for payment for $250 for professional development. And then the second one is, and Ms. Moore, I don't see you have mileage 144, but there was no amount.
I didn't know what our mileage rate was
Okay.
here. I mean, at my job, it's 57 cents, but
And it-
I don't know what it is here, so I left it blank. What is it?
That's a great question. I don't want to speak out of turn, but it is the federal rate, whatever that federal rate
So
is.
should we just say for the federal rate?
Absolutely.
Okay.
At the federal rate. In addition to that, I do have your receipt for the Uber, the $19.25. I do have that receipt. And then you asked for $185, again, for professional development, and that was for the Ohio School Board's conference that was held from November 12th through November 14th. I'm bringing this to the board because in the board policy, it states that any professional training needs to come to for the board. So that's why I thought it should be.
And I will speak on this too, okay? You know, over the last several years, we all have attended some sort of training, which is essential for board members. Because just like we send our teachers to training, we send our administrators to training, there is an opportunity for board members to be trained. And these trainings are very rich because it's not just us, it's people from around the state, at the OSPA, which we are part of, and also at the national levels. So it gives us an opportunity to collaborate. We don't, as board members, the compensation is apples to elephants when it comes to professional development. And I think I need to make that known. For instance, for a board member, 3 hours or less of our time is only $60. Over 3 hours is $125. These same letters trainings that we just talked about were in excess of $350 to $400 a piece for staff and administration. But again, because we are elected officials, our policy states basically, this is the board development stipend that the board has put forth. So, wanted to share that information, because it is not the same.
Yeah, and I would like to clarify, for letters training, teachers were the only ones that were paid. Administrators, they were not paid, and the training was different for administrators and teachers. Teachers had to do significantly more, that's why they were paid significantly more
Okay.
for letters training.
Well, whether it's teachers or administration, the letters training is brutal. It's 3 hours on a Zoom call or in person with rigorous curriculum. And so, again, it's a lot of time. I commend the teachers that signed up, even the administrators, because I was in the professional administrator class, those teachers who stayed late after work. We were on those calls, they started at 4, ended at 7 o'clock at night, sometimes a little bit later. I commend them for wanting to have that training. And this training was something that this board implemented and initiated district-wide. Is that correct, Dr.?
Yes.
Yeah, Cosby. We wanted everybody. You didn't even have to be a teacher. You could be any part of this community family and take that training. And we decided to do that because everybody engages with community. Everybody engages with family and students. And we wanted to make sure it was an even playing field, that we could speak intelligently about what it was we were doing to help children learn how to read. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no other comments, Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Vice Chair, Ms. Cherry.
I agree with board development.
Ms. Chair, can you speak in the
I'm
mic?
sorry, I agree with board development. I think that is essential for a board member. I also, I want to know the difference between the conference and the actual training. Is this an additional training within the conference?
Yeah, the conference are workshop series. So the conference it starts as early as 8 o'clock in the morning and goes as late as 7 o'clock. But if you look on these particular reimbursement forms, it's based on the workshop series. These are based on classes that board members, administrators, and the like will take for professional development. So it's a part of it. However, it is more than just going to the opening preliminary session and going to the closing activities in the evening, and even going to those luncheons that they have in the middle of the day where they have a professional speaker who speaks on education or some subject matter related to what we are, whatever the trends are. So it's in addition.
So does the board have a policy which prohibits a sitting board member from traveling at the expense of the district after a certain month or calendar year?
No, because what we have done, the fact that a board member can take off work, first of all, these stipends, you gotta understand, they're small stipends because all of us, or if you work in corporate America or whatever, you have PTO. We lose money when we go to get trained for these elected positions. I have to use my work PTO, which is way more, based on what I do than these small stipends. So not only do we do that, we use our time. There's been these conferences where, they might start at 8 and end at 6, but for most board members who have attended these things, they don't really end at 6. There's a lot of after hours, there's a lot of networking, but we do that independently because frankly, that's where the relationships are built with the state. The folks that come from the state, that's where the relationships are built with other administrators around the country or within the state. Also, if you belong to individual groups within OSBA or within the school board world, there are so many separate organizations that many of us may or may not choose to be on, such as NAPSE, the Black Caucus, the Ohio Association for Black School Educators. That's not even on here. And those were meetings, but guess what? They weren't educational meetings. They were learning meetings, they were committee meetings. They're not even on here. So, again, one of the things that the board set forth in policy was to address that, because one thing you have to understand as an elected official, this is service work. If you look at the hours that an elected official puts in, even though you only see us maybe 2 times a month on the DS, there is a lot of behind the scenes. Even in leadership on the board, the president and another board member, vice president, they're putting together agendas. Guess what? Those aren't meetings. That's their time. We are also having other things that go on, that happen within the boards. If you belong to committees, President Jeter Freeman, you belong to the Southwest region as the liaison for this school district, the SALT committee, the Student Achievement Committee. Those are time. That's time away from our families. That's time away from work. That's time. Thank you.
Any other comments, board?
I do, I got one. A lot of, I don't know if people really know this about when you go to these classes or prerequisites, but we volunteer, we take a lot of time out for them. They pretty much are like going back to high school where their gap, where 30 minutes, you can bridge them for an hour, 30 minutes. And what we do is we get I never did it my first year because the money wasn't important to me. So my first year, I didn't get paid for anything really other than if the treasurer called it for me, because I'm very not knowledgeable when it comes to things I love. I just do them, just jump and do them. It wasn't really about the capitalism part of it for me. But nonetheless, America is like that. So we do need, I work 3 jobs just to be here every day. So, 2 part-times, 1 full-time. So, and coming this January, I'll be resigning from probably 2 part-times just to be here more for all the staff, all the unions, get to know the new people. So it's actually an educational time all times and informative, regardless if I'm at the classes or not. But yeah, I didn't know until this year that we got paid pretty decent to go to those. So Maybe this year I'll go to more, but as of right now, I do think, yes, I guess she has a point. We don't get paid a lot, but I just love what I do regardless. So just to piggyback on it, capitalism is key, I guess.
Yeah.
I digress.
Okay.
President Jeter Freeman, may I
Yes.
make a comment to Mr. Davis?
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Davis, there is legislation, and there are a group of folks that are fighting for school board participation and reimbursement.
Yes, ma'am.
Because even when you take off, you lose money at work to do these things, even
I
during the
have
day.
3
We have
jobs. I
The
lose it all.
DLT, if you're on the DLT, if you're on these committee meetings, those are non-reimbursable meetings, but the DLT goes from what time to what time, Ms. Freeman?
You, Dr. Cosby.
Dr. Cosby?
9 to 12 or 1 to 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's a significant amount of time, but again, we are elected, we want to sign up for those. I know I have to take off every Tuesday of the month at 10 o'clock in the morning to go to a committee meeting. That is non-reimbursable, but it's part of my assignment and it's part of my obligation. And most of all, I wanted to do it, and I volunteered to do it. So a board member can spend a lot of time working on behalf of children, which we all are committed to, without that. So I'm glad that we have a policy in place that can at least make up a little bit of the difference of that, because time is money.
I do appreciate your comments. If there are no other, Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Yes, Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
No.
And Mrs. Judah Freeman?
Yes, the motion passes.
I rescind. I'm sorry about that. I got
You've
caught up
already
in the
voted.
moment. Well, I rescind before possible. I got caught up in that.
It still
It's-
passes, you have to vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, it still passes. I just wanted my record, like, it's important that going into this January that
Okay.
I represent
We've
what I'm
already
doing.
voted.
Mhm.
We will now move to Treasurer's Report. Ms. Allen?
Okay, so we did have a finance committee meeting this evening. The superintendent joined us this evening along with board members Davis and board member Cherry. We did go over probably like 20 reports. Those reports are for the rest of the board, are under your executive tab in board docs, if you care to peruse them at a later time. But I will go over the 3 reports that we usually go over. The first one is our cash reconciliations for November. Our bank balance is $705,680.18. Our investment balances is $29,113,433.09. We did have outstanding checks in the amount of $209,509.36. Adjustments was $1,055,283.38. And what that adjustment was is our December 2nd payroll. So that will fall off after the following month. And so the adjusted bank balance and the district bank balance, the district's balance on the financial systems do reconcile to the exact penny. We have another report, the spending plan summary, and it indicates our monthly actuals for November and fiscal year to date from July through November, and it indicates our revenues and our expenses. We always look at line 6.01, which is the excess revenue, and our excess revenue for the month of November is $191,981.32. Overall, fiscal year to date through this month, from July through November, we do have a positive revenue over our expenses of $2.9 million. The last report is our checks over $1,000. We did pull one check, and that was check number 1102-658 in the amount of $10,275.57. It was to NRG Business Marketing Initially, I thought that was our advertising until I pulled it. It's actually the veterans delivery charge for each one of our school buildings and central office. So that's what that was. And then there was a question on the total Maxim. There were 3 checks cut to Maxim this month, almost in the amount of $40,000. In my report and in my notes, it has 21,000, so I did put that as a to-do item to go back and double check those, because on this checks over 1,000, it's 40,000. In my notes, it has 21, so I just needed to see where that other $20,000 was for November. So those are the 3 reports that we went over.
These are for action, so I'll
Yes,
take
and for action.
a motion to approve the treasurer's reports.
I'll move to approve treasurer's report approval for November financial reports. Item A, as presented.
I second.
Properly moved by Ms. Moore and second by Mr. Anderson. Are there any questions on any of the reports?
I do have a question. Maximum Healthcare, I know we have work session to go over this, but can we get a little more detail on what that actually is, Madam President?
You're asking, Mr. Anderson would like additional information. I don't know if you have it available on Maxim Healthcare.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Mr. Anderson wanted additional information on Maxim Healthcare.
We can have Ms. Mallory, our student service. I'd like for my Director of Student Services to answer that question. Tracy Mallory.
Ms. Mallory?
Can I, excuse me?
Yes.
Someone said that she needs to come and
Speak
talk
at a
in a
mic.
speaker because they can't hear the person talking. So I was asked to do that, so I was asked to say.
There we go.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Maxim Healthcare staffing is a staffing agency where we hire or use them to help us hire our LPNs. So some of the clinic aides that are in the building are hired through Maxim. We have a couple of intervention specialists who are hired through Maxim that support the virtual academy.
Is that satisfactory?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I didn't have another question
Okay.
on Maxim. Ms. Allen, should we postpone approving the one for Maxim if there's a $20,000 difference there?
We've already paid those checks. Those are the checks already issued. Those
Okay.
checks have already been issued.
So you just need to go back and.
Yeah, it's not, it's just out for me. It was just for me.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that what I said in my notes
Okay.
reflected the same amount that was delineated on the checks
Okay.
over 1,000. But
All
those
right.
checks have already been cut.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? If not, Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes.
And Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes, the motion to approve the November financial reports is approved.
Okay, I have one other thing that I needed to bring to the attention to the board. These are cash transfers for FY ‑24. Our FY '23 audit was concluded, and one of it's called management letter comments, was that we had approved a transfer of the total was $508,000 and some change, and it's right on here, from Fund 4, which was our construction, to Fund 1. They indicated that we can't do that, we couldn't do that. We can move the money, not to general fund, but we can move it to the bond retirement fund, and what that does is reduces the liability for our citizens of Trotwood. And so we need to do that, and so the first item was the high school drama club. We moved money from the high school drama club to the class of 2025 because of they needed money for their prom. We can't do that either. We couldn't go from 300 to 200, so I need to move that money back. And then the other construction piece of it, I need to just move from Fund 4 to, from 1 to 4, back to 4, and then I need to move from 4 to 2, the bond retirement fund, to make that the way that the auditor wants that. And so I have their finding and writing, but they wanted me to bring that to the board so that we can make that correction.
Okay, I'll first take a motion.
I'll move to accept Treasurer's Report Item B, approval of cash transfers for FY '24 as presented.
I second that as stated.
Are there any questions, comments?
I got one. I think it's great for the community that we caught that and that we're moving things around to keep everything stable. I'm just saying this for the people at home or people around that aren't really big into our finance. I'm on the finance committee, so it's really important that I get this stuff right, because when it's wrong, I'm feeling guilty at home about it. It's so many different entities tied up into our financial assets, from investments to everything. And I learned a lot from our president about this, because she used to be on the finance committee my freshman and sophomore years here, and I learned a lot about finance from her. And I digress. That was it.
Thank you. Only one comment, Ms. Allen. We have the from funds, and you explained where they were going to. Is there another way to show that is from and
So the top
into-
line is, the top line's from.
right?
And that's, then we're
So
gonna take
I
it
see high
to-
school drama club.
Right. So now I need to take from what we already moved from 4 to 1. I'm moving from Fund 1 to the construction fund. There's two pieces of that. So
Okay.
both of those, I'm moving from Fund 1 to Fund 4, and then I have to move from Fund 4 to Fund 2. So I have to correct what we approved before, and then I'm asking, in addition to that, to move from Fund 4 to Fund 2, which is the bond retirement fund.
Okay, so it's just
Yes.
triple.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
it's just, okay.
Confusing.
Would you like to see it in a different way?
Um,
And I'll put it like that so that you could see that I corrected, and if you want to call it a mistake, corrected the mistake. Then the next line, we move that money to the bond retirement fund as they had indicated, as the auditors suggested or recommended that we do.
Okay, I just didn't see the total. It appears as though it's the total amount, but if you all saw it and understood it, I'm good with that. If you would call the roll, please.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
And Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes, the approval of the cash transfers for FY '24 is approved. And now superintendent's report.
Okay, we only have one thing on the report this time, and it is our personnel agenda, and it is for action. We'll start with our certified personnel agenda A. A1 is a recommendation for the approval of the following certified after-school tutors for the 23-24 school year. A2 is a recommendation for the approval of the following certified adjustment and training for the 23-24 school year. A3 is a recommendation for the approval of the following certified supplementals for the 23-24 school year. A4 is recommendation for approval of the following certified staff to be used on an as-needed basis for the 23-24 school year. Now we're on our classified personnel agenda, Agenda B. B1 is a recommendation for the approval of the following classified new hires for the 23-24 school year. B3 is a recommendation for the approval of the following classified resignations for the 23-24 school year.
B3 is a recommendation for the approval of the classified staff to be used on an as-needed basis for the 23-24 school year. B4 is a recommendation for the approval of the following classified supplementals for the 23-24 school year. B5 is a recommendation for the approval of the following classified athletic volunteer for the 23-24 school year. And that's all I have.
All right. I'll take a motion to approve the superintendent's personnel agenda.
I'll move to accept the superintendent's report, approval for the personnel agenda as presented.
Second, that is stated.
It's been properly moved and second. Are there any comments, questions? If not, Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes.
And Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes, the personnel agenda is approved. Now we'll move to treasurers.
I'll be very, very short, quick, sweet. I want to just say to Ms. Moore and Mrs. Jeter Freeman initially, you guys have been here, you hired me. And I just wish you all the luck, all the everything. I appreciate your support over the years of me. So I wish you luck and we'll miss you and miss your service. Mr. Anderson, we haven't known each other very long, 6 months. I think it's been 6 months. But thank you for what you do for Trotwood. Appreciate it. And your support of me as well. That's all I have.
Thank you. Dr. Cosby.
Okay, I was not here as long, so I can't say ditto exactly, but thank you for the service that you've given this district for 18 and 20 years. And also Mr. Anderson for stepping in and taking on this position as well. I also would like to share with the board, these went out, the Ram Nation Virtual Academy flyers to encourage our students to come back. We've talked about this. That's not the one that you're looking at. This is what I have in my hand. It says, we want you back. We're encouraging students who are in other programs to come back to Trotwood. And then what you all do have a copy of is our fall newsletter. And you'll see our Board of Education is listed as is for this final one for you all as you go out. The names are on here. And this is showing each building, things that are happening in them. We have a lot of great things going on, as you know, in our buildings. So to keep things short and sweet, I will say that's all for me.
Thank you. And now our student representatives are a little busy. They have practice and other commitments, so they couldn't be here tonight. Board comments, Mr. Anderson.
All right, thank you, Madam President. Greetings, everyone. This is officially my last board comment. I want to say that I absolutely appreciate everyone here at the Trotwood-Madison School District for their warm welcome as I filled the vacancy position for Mr. Andrews. This has been an awesome experience. As one of the youngest members on the Trotwood-Madison City School Board, I came at a very contentious time. I got to know various people, definitely when it came to the business of this organization, such as the superintendent and our treasurer. I want to thank the board members for embracing me and giving me the information needed when I requested. Thank you to Madam President Jeter Freeman for her help, and also Ms. Denise Moore for all their help. Mr. Sidney Davis and Ms. Sonia Cherry for our talks that we had and some of the back and forths. I appreciate the open, honesty, and candid conversations. I just thank you for the professionalism that the Trotwood-Madison School District has shown since I've been here. Arise, what is it, the quote? Aspire to go higher. I think that was so fitting for this year. I believe that the climate has changed in the Trotwood-Madison City Schools this year alone. One of the things that Ms. Cherry is really hard on is changing the narrative and the climate of this district to a more positive realm. But once again, as I close out, I just want to thank every last one of you, ladies and gentlemen, for opening and embracing me during this experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Davis.
Well, I guess I'll just keep it short and sweet for once, like the way that went down. I appreciate it too, sir. And thank you, Madam President. Greetings to all. Great photography, sir. I'm into photography as well. I got a little side associates in that, so I appreciate seeing my brothers in photography. Just all staff in attendance, admin at home, parents at home, children. If I try to get my children to watch, but they don't care what Dad do. They just want to see something at Christmas, you know. But thank you guys for everything that you've done. I look at this stuff like sports, even though it's politics involved also in it. And I never thought I would bring politics in education, but apparently you got to get elected school board. One more minute, Madam President. So look, the way I look at it is you have the old guard and the new guard. And what happens is I remember, I don't know how at 4 years old I remember this, but I study a lot of sports stuff. I love historical stuff. You had a guy named Isaiah Thomas that was giving this guy named Michael Jordan such a hard time in the early 80s and 90s, and Jordan just couldn't figure out how to get through this. Well, he eventually did, but some kind of weird way, people from that team ended up in the 90s on the 90s Chicago Bulls and then helped Jordan to win more championships. So it was super weird that the people that they counted out, like Dennis Rodman, a guy that couldn't shoot or nothing, but for some reason, he was able to get 20, when he got with Jordan, he was able to get 20 rebounds a game and get Jordan into the championship over and over again. And Jordan said to this guy named Phil Jackson, he's like, we want him if you can control him, because he's wild. He doesn't look like everybody else. He doesn't act like everybody else. He's very unique and cultural. And that reminds me of my story with you guys. I'm from Dayton, so I'm naturally played you guys for a long time or seen us lose to you guys off and on over the years. But some kind of way I got to Trotwood and I never left. And now I feel like I'm kind of being left to be a Citadel guard of this board with you guys leaving. And I know that a lot of stuff was taken personal. And I'm sorry for that, because it wasn't really personal with me. It's just that I was looking at my mentors, and sometimes the student and the brother of operations, big dog of operations, he loves Star Wars like me. So he knows what I mean by this, but sometimes the students can get with the force and not know which force to kind of feel, because they all feel good when you're doing right with children. But one thing I like to do that I never really did, and while your children are here, I want to do that too, more importantly. I like to apologize to you the right way I should have last January. I handled that completely wrong because I was so hurt coming in here. I was watching on YouTube, and I felt like y'all should have waited on me. I just wanted a chance to challenge, and I feel like I never got it the right way since I've been here. But God makes everything happen the way it's supposed to, not the way I wanted it to. So hopefully, and I mean hopefully, everybody can see that a man can make a mistake and he still apologizes to the ones that he looks up to, even if they don't respect him anymore or they look at him differently because of what he said. And everyone remember that words can hurt, and it can change a whole relationship. Even at one of my jobs at Channel 2, it changed everything. I've always had that type of where it can go down right there. But that comes from where I come from. I take pride in Montgomery County. I feel like this is all in Montgomery County too, so it's like I feel like, and Dayton, I ain't forgot y'all, we just got to do some work this year to kind of unite so everybody can see what your sister city or your brother city look like, because y'all the big brother. So just remember, I forgot about that either, but I'm looking at this like this is my opportunity to show Honorable Moore and President that no matter what y'all thought I didn't learn or what I didn't attain, maybe I can show y'all this year and y'all can see like, dang, that brother, we didn't think he was listening. That millennial energy in him, he just want to think he know it all. But maybe y'all see that the Dennis Rodman of the school board can still get that 96 championship for y'all, even though Jordan might go on and now coach the Wizards and then play for the Wizards and then own the Wizards, Miss Moore. Even though you might have moved on to do some bigger things, just remember some of them conversations we had, all those times that I kept wrapping over in my head, like, so why are we fighting now? So just know that sometimes the Eagles, they naturally soar upwards when the Hawks want to aggravate them, because Hawks can't go up like Eagles soar. So when an Eagle gets aggravated by a Hawk, because they're naturally like antagonists of each other in the air, the Hawk goes up a little further. So just know that this was my way of doing that, even though the respect is still there and the disrespect is still there in some ways in this community. But maybe through me and us and through this board and through the city council and through the mayor and everybody here, operations, everybody, our transportation department, our custodial department, our nutritional department, maybe we can just see that you guys left a legacy that was way past the 21 total plus. And yeah, I digress. I'm sorry, President. I'm done,
I accept your
apparently.
apology.
Mm-hmm.
And if we would move to Ms. Moore. But thank you.
My bad. I talk a lot. I'm sorry. My bad. My bad.
Thank you, President Jeter Freeman. I just want to start off by saying it has been a pleasure to serve on this board. I have served on many boards over the last 18 years. I want to thank our treasurer, CFO, Janice Allen, for making sure that the stability of the district has always been there. That means a lot. There's a lot of districts that have not had that pleasure. And Superintendent Dr. Cosby, want you to understand and know that we appreciate the work that you do. We may not have always agreed on things, but you know what? It opened up dialogue. It opened up the opportunity to share.
We didn't either.
We didn't agree either, okay? But at the end of the day, one thing that we both all agreed on is the best interest of our students, right? We're all here for that reason. And that's really funny because I believe that all of us wanted the same thing. We just had different ways of going about it. I am very proud to serve on this Board of Education for the last 18 years. I want to thank the citizens for allowing me to do that for 5 terms, and actually 4.5, because I got to leave and I got 2 years left, right? But I just want to say thank you. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for the confidence, your confidence. And I just want you to know that, you know, there is so much and so many great things happening within this district. This district is on the move. This district is, bar none, one of the best. Our kids are the brightest. Our staff is engaged and committed. And the leadership, they are passionate about the work that we do. President Jeter Freeman, I have served with you for 18 years. And I remember meeting you some 22, 24 years ago at the middle school when I had your daughter, the salutatorian, speak to the middle school class, which seems like just yesterday as the PTO president. It has been an honor to serve with you in many different capacities. Over these last 18 years, I've had the pleasure of serving as president for 6 non-sequential years and vice president on many occasions. And I was overwhelmed with that opportunity. I just think that in this short, it seems like such a short period of time, but I know it hasn't been, we have accomplished great things together as a unified body. And when I say a unified body, all these individuals were not here 18 years ago, but the board is a body. That's what it is. Not one person, not 2 people, but a body that moves together to make things work. And it doesn't matter if the players change. The mission doesn't, and nor does the vision, which is to serve children. Success, 100%. We've done amazing things over this time through the tornadoes, and that recovery. I want to just thank the administrative staff, Dr. Cosby, for jumping in there and doing what they needed to do when they needed to do it. We just have amazing people who worked around the clock. I see some of them in the audience, and I just want to say thank you for that. Also, many people don't know this, Trotwood was the first district to decide to go virtual. Thank you. Trotwood was also the first district to have a district-wide community health center, even before Dayton, okay, or anybody else. That is huge, guys. There's been some amazing things that have taken place in this district. And I can go on, but I'm going to be brief and just say thank you. Thank you for just allowing me to sit here on the dais and be a part of this team. I appreciate each and every one of you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore and Ms. Cherry.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to the parents for the PTO presentation. I thought that was an awesome presentation, and I'm looking forward to working with them. I wanted to say congratulations to our students who are making progress academically, making progress with their decision-making. We can't leave our students out. I want to say congratulations to Mr. Isaiah Evans, who will be traveling to New York to get fitted for a new state-of-the-art multi-grip bionic arm. He carries a 4.2 grade point average, and it was so unfortunate about his incident, but this young man's commitment, his determination is phenomenal. So I wanted to make sure I shouted him out. Also, it's a lot of good things going on in Trotwood. We do have some work to do, but it's a lot of good things that's going on in Trotwood. I look forward to continue to serve on the board. In reference to Mrs. Jeter Freeman and Ms. Moore, you have served on this board for a long time. A lot of knowledge you guys have obtained. Thank you for sharing with me, trying to teach me. I did come in a little hot-headed a little bit, but it's okay. Like I said, I want to make sure that we try to change the culture of the district. Your services are more than greatly appreciated. You will be missed, but good luck and enjoy.
Thank you. So, thank you to all of you. It has been my honor, and I don't think I served, right? I had 3 children could come through Trotwood. I was active probably more as a parent before I got on the board. So I never saw myself as serving in a role. I've always been here, and I love it. A little something you wouldn't know. I'm a sharecropper's daughter from Shorter, Alabama. This board knows Shorter, Alabama, and they normally put their hands on their heart when I say that. But it has been my pleasure to serve with so many great people over the last 20 years. I've learned a lot, and I've learned most in what I'd like to leave is agree to disagree respectfully. And I hope I've done that. It's not easy here, it's better out there. And when people ask me to run for the board, I'm like, no, I think I have a greater voice from that angle than this angle. But I am humbled at the support that I've gotten over the years, and I just hope I served you well. And I thank you. I'll still be around. I still have a grandson in the district. And let me say, shout out to my bus drivers, to my special ed teachers. They are the greatest. And Mr. Howard, if you would pass that on, but they know. And I'll still see them. I'll still see you all. And the one thing I feel really, really good about is it's time for change, right? It's time for new energy, and I can say confidently that I am excited about the new leadership and where the district is going. We've got a lot of great things happening, but we have to tell our story, and we have to make it out there. And the other thing we have to do, if we start something and we don't get it quite right, it's okay to say, I need to reset, right? It's okay to say, I need to go in a different direction. But what we must do, we must evaluate where we are. We have to know where we are, and we have to accept accountability that, hey, I need to re-energize, or I need to move in a different direction. But we have the staff that are committed. We have some of the greatest, and I've said this over and over again, principals, take time to recognize your top-notch teachers. They should be at state. Take that time to recognize those doing a good job. And I'll have a little more time, and I'll make sure I do that as well, because I run across a lot of them. And thank you, Dr. Cosby and Ms. Allen, and thank you to this board for allowing me not to always be in Robert's Rules of Order, but hopefully we moved in the right direction regardless. And so to that, I say thank you. And now, do we still want to take comments? Do we still want to take a 5-minute exec session? Is that still needed, board?
Yes.
Madam President, I think we've already decided what we were going to do with the contracts, and I think it's been a big discussion over a long period of time, and we have guests, and we have a reception, and we have time to celebrate. I think we can move down to the other items.
Madam President, I think we were waiting for an answer from the treasurer in regards to something that we spoke about in executive session.
What was that, Mr. Anderson?
Any other comments?
Oh, so why don't we go on executive?
Well,
Yes.
if you would allow us, I will time them. I promise you I will. I know we always don't get it right. I promise we're gonna get it right. 10 minutes at the max.
So we need to call. You need to move.
Okay, so we will we will take a recess first, and we will move the executive session to the end. And we will come out of the executive session and vote. And
I move that we move the executive session as stated by President Jeter Freeman, and come back with action.
I'll second.
it's been properly moved in second. Ms. Allen, would you call the roll on adjusting the agenda to move the executive session to the end? And I think that would be item
It would be item 14.
14.
Yeah, and then we would come back with item 15 and 16 for action. Is that correct?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
And Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes. We will
We have
be back.
refreshments?
Yes.
What do we have? What do we have?
We will recess. The board is resumed out of recess at 7:42.
Oh, wait a minute, 7:42?
Yes.
Do you remember if we, when we went into recess?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't put a time.
I-
30 minutes.
7:15 maybe,
Eric, do you remember when we went into recess?
7:15, you think it'd be?
Okay. That's okay.
The treasurer is supposed to make sure everybody signs it.
I signed it. I think it's all signed.
He was on
Okay.
the
Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like a motion to go into executive session for the purpose to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual per Board of Ed Policy 0166. Action will be taken.
I'll move to go into executive session for the reasons stated.
I'll second.
Been properly moved and second. Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Yes, Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
And Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes, we are now entering into executive session and action will be taken. And we need 7:54?
7:54. 7:54.
Okay. And now I'd like a motion to amend the treasurer's contract effective August, it will be effective January 1st of 2024.
Okay. I'll move.
It's been properly moved.
Yeah, I'll move to accept the item as presented.
And Ms. Cherry, second. Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
and Mrs. Judah Freeman.
Yes, the treasurer's amended contract is approved. And now I'll accept a motion to approve the superintendent's contract.
I'll move to accept the amendment to the superintendent's contract as presented.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved by Ms. Moore, second by Ms. Cherry. Ms. Allen, would you call?
Ms. M-
Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
And Mrs. Judah Freeman.
Yes, the contract, the amended contract is approved. And now I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. I will move to adjourn.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and second. All in favor?
No.
Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Ms. Moore. Ms. Moore.
No. Yes.
Ms. Moore, Mrs. Cherry,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
and Mrs. Judah Freeman.
Yes. The meeting is adjourned for the 2023 school year.
All right.
Yay.
7:56.